I'm Marilyn Call, and I am Gary's supervisor, and I'm going to be doing a 6-month job performance review with Gary today, and I really appreciate you coming to interpret for me.
My name is Gary Levitt, and I have an appointment today to sit down to do a review, and I have an interpreter, okay?
Hi, Gary. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Can you believe you've been doing this job for 6 months now?
Yeah, wow, time goes so fast. But it's been wonderful.
So, how are you enjoying your job of coordinating the deaf education program so far?
Oh yes, I love it so much. I'm happy to continue. It's awesome.
That's good to know. I've been watching you and I can tell you enjoy your work, and that's probably why you're successful at it. Today, since it's been 6 months, it's really important that we kind of look back at your work, find out what's being challenging for you, what's going well, and also what's really important about this meeting today is, well, and I can kind of tell you're going to come out and have a satisfactory or above evaluation, then you get a 1-step raise. So that should excite you a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, have you ever gone through one of these evaluations before, working under the state of Utah?
Yes, I have. Lots of times.
Yeah, I forgot. You used to work at the School for the Deaf, didn't you?
Yes, I did. That's right.
Good. So, really, I prefer just to sit informally and talk about how things are going and ask where you need support and where I can help you out and find out what kind of things you think are going well. But because we're under state government, we have to follow a pretty specific process. We have to go through some certain goals. So that's what we'll be doing, and we'll try and make it as informal as possible, but we do have to follow a certain format to make it fair for everybody. Is that all right with you?
Yep.
Okay, the first goal we're going to go through is...
Oh yeah, that's right. That's fine.
Okay, the first goal that we're going to talk about is your technical effectiveness. And this doesn't mean how good you are at computers. This means how good you are at doing your job, which is developing and implementing community education programs for the deaf. So this, like to get an outstanding rating, this is how you would have to do your job. You would have to consistently perform all job responsibilities with a high degree of quality, timeliness, and precision, and always apply sound technical approaches to your areas of responsibilities. Keep abreast of and use relevant state-of-the-art practices viewed as a technical resource by other staff. And I want you to know that I have rated you as an outstanding in this area because of the way you had the idea to set up webcams in areas throughout the state. How did you get that idea, and how did you make that successful?
I I just worked towards that goal and just kept going and changed things as it needed to be, and just watched it expand, got feedback, and worked with my team. They were wonderful.
Well, I know you just taught a class on deaf culture to the St. George group by using the video remote technology. Have you been able to look at the evaluations for how that class went? And what kind of response did you get?
Oh. They found it more enjoying learning about the culture. The evaluations, I looked at them and people were just like, yes, yes, we want more, we want to learn more. And so I'm going to continue working with them.
Great, so it was mostly positive, even though you were doing it from the Deaf Center. They felt like they still got a lot out of it, even though you weren't there in person. Did anyone complain that you should go down there in person?
They didn't mind. They were really comfortable with it. And, you know, we had other people working behind the scenes, and it worked really well.
Okay, that's great. Well, I'm really excited about you developing this technology and finding a way to make it work. And I think we're just beginning, and that's why I gave you an outstanding in your technical effectiveness, because of the way you're able to offer classes to a lot more people throughout the state. Well, that's great. Okay, the next one is planning and organization. And on that, I gave you an above standard, and let me just read what that means. That means you have regularly assessed the needs, you've analyzed the data, prioritized the activities, evaluated results, and revised approaches as needed when planning to accomplish work assignments. Uses effective time management strategies to achieve acceptable results in most situations. And I feel like where you really did well in this area in your planning was before you came up with a lot of ideas of classes you wanted to offer, you came up with that survey to try and find out what deaf and hard of hearing people throughout the state, what kind of classes that they wanted. So how did you get the most response? Did you get a better response interviewing in person or online? Or I heard that you got back over 150 responses, and I want me to tell you how you were to tell me how you became so successful at that.
So I met with people one-on-one, and I really wanted more responses and get more feedback. And so after I met with them, they wrote things down, and I met more people and got more feedback. And so I wrote those down and I included those. And so they felt more comfortable asking what they needed. And so we could include them and work on it together. It's important, you know, that we notice that those services and ideas that the people needed, and have more opportunities to add those to help improve things for them.
Well, I just want to let you know I'm really pleased that you took the time to really find out what people wanted before you just went ahead and set up a lot of classes. And I know that since we've just been doing this, the Deaf Center, for 6 months, It's probably taken a lot of time just to plan a few classes, but I'm excited because the classes that you've delivered, they look like they've been really successful. Can you tell me a little bit more about like kind of the average attendance at the classes and what the evaluations say? Did you end up with good evaluations?
Yeah, I've noticed that people are happy and satisfied because they feel the support to continue to work programs. I feel like they were very satisfied and they didn't feel like they were missing a lot, and that helped cover the information. You know, sometimes they had hearing aid problems or technology problems, but that's what they needed, and we were able to figure it out and make it so it worked better. So I think that everyone had the opportunity to really be included and be satisfied with what happened in the class, and they were able to do it together.
That's good feedback. So what do you feel like you can do to solve those problems?
So it's important to be able to set up the system beforehand and test it and make sure everything's ready beforehand, and that way we're confident that the technology will work. Because sometimes other people come in and they use it and they mess it up, and so getting there like 20-30 minutes early so we can test it and make sure everything's ready, I think that would help. Plus, people could come in and test how their hearing aids connect with it and make sure that it's ready before we start the lecture. Because we don't want, to do it at the last minute and figure out that it was wrong and that it didn't work. So hopefully if we do that beforehand, we can make sure it's ready.
Well, I think that's a really good plan. It looks like you've discovered that offering successful classes is a lot more than just hiring good teachers. There's a lot of little details that you have to think about, and some of those things you learn from experience. But overall, I am very pleased with your organizational skills, and I just think you're really paying attention to those details that make the difference. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
So the last goal that we have here that we need to talk about is your ethics and your professionalism. And I just gave you a standard on that. And I guess I rated you just down a little to standard just because of that one time when you asked someone that came to the class on a date. And that, I don't know, maybe you didn't understand because the deaf community is so small, but that really, you should not do things like that while you're on work time. I'm not saying you can't ever date anyone who comes to the classes, but don't do that in the workplace. We talked about that before, and I do feel like that problem's taken care of.
Yeah, that's taken care of. I didn't realize, but yeah.
And you're lucky, the girl didn't complain. It sounds like she wanted to go out on a date with you, but someone else complained that they saw you. And so that's just not a professional behavior. So just make sure If you want to ask someone on a date, that you do it outside of the work environment. But other than that, I think you've got really good work ethics. You come to work on time. You work really hard while you're there, and I've really been pleased with 99%, of your behavior. So I gave you a standard this time. It will probably go up next time now that you've learned from that one experience. Is there anything you want to add about goals you have for the next 6 months?
Yeah, I will do that, and I will make some goals. And I'll make sure that I have proper behavior and, only do dating things on my time. And that will be a better plan.
Okay, that sounds great, and I appreciate you meeting with me today, and I'm really glad to have you on board. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you.
All done.
All done. Yeah, that one was way easier than writing.